Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. I'm Christopher Uslig. Joining with me, my co-host Thomas Garverick and a fan favorite, Jonathan Michael, who is always so gracious enough to join us on the podcast each week and share some insight as we kind of have. Well, it was kind of a good weekend for Central Illinois, and we got some big games coming up as we're going to start with a little bit of girls state championships. We had two teams. Let's go.
Yeah, plural. I mean,
Two
crazy that we're
teams.
saying two, and then we're saying two teams won state championships. An area that's
It's a weekend we'll never forget.
yeah, a weekend that will, I think, forever go down in Central Illinois girls basketball history. And I think at the start of the season, if you ask people, if we have state champions in the air, who do you think it's going to be? I think many people would have told you Washington and DMAC, and they fulfilled it. They lived up to it, and just a phenomenal weekend. I'm so happy and for the Panthers and for the Chiefs.
The storylines were great.
Yeah,
I mean, just awesome stuff.
it was, and I got the pleasure to listen to both games on Clutch Sports Media. Great job, crew always does a solid job getting us basketball, and it was nice to get to listen to those games, even though we didn't get a video option. Unfortunately, rules are rules, and they suck, and we hate them. But it was.
Or you do what I did, and I paid $14 that way. My wife and I could watch the game, so we got to watch it televised.
Well, we got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get rolling here a little bit, starting with DMAC. What a game. Dalia DeJesus does what she does, playing through sickness and all that. So what a game. It was so fun to watch or listen to, and got a state championship and bringing it back to Deer Creek Mackinac.
Yeah, that was I had no clue that Dalia wasn't feeling her best, and until I saw the story that our good friend Patrick Cunningham did yesterday. So that's really cool. Kind of the Dalia flu game, giving her team a state championship. I don't know if she had the flu. I think it was more like a fever. But look at what she did. 13 points or 13 rebounds, 16 points in the state title game. I think both games she really took over in the second half, both the semifinal and the state championship game. I forget which one it was exactly. I believe I'll double check, but there was one of those two games that she was held to like 2 points at halftime, and then just completely took over in the second half. So I mean, there's few players in the area that work harder than Dalia DeJesus, and a few players that deserve it more. And again, we were talking so much about DeJesus. Again, you also had all-state honorees and Riley Durbin and Jalen Nunley. Nunley hit some really big threes, 3 of them in the state title game. That was, I think, a big key for DMAC in both of their wins. They were able to shoot better from deep. They just have more options than both their teams. Riley Durbin went 3 for 3 behind the arc in the state title game, so that's really awesome for her. And DMAC was pretty much in front most of the way. They were down 19-16 at halftime and came out and outscored. They nearly doubled up Mount Pulaski in the second half. So that was a team that was determined. They were like, we're not going to go out and come all this way to lose. And they finished it with their first ever state title.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this game, and Dalia gets a lot of the focus, right, just because, of course, she's the best player on DMAC, but Mount Pulaski came out, showed a 2-3 zone, and Dalia struggled at first, but again, to Jam's point, Nunley and Durbin really stepped up. And we often say, whether it's at the high school level or the collegiate level, it's always a team victory when you get to state. Mm-hmm. And it was important that when Dalia clearly was the focus, and Mount Pulaski's coach even said that. He's like, hey, we were trying to take her away early, that the other starters stepped in and did what they did. And again, DMAC's entire team is very good. Obviously, I love that they showed the bench, and they only roster 9 players, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. But the fact that those two and the Schmidt-Galls stepped up early in that first half to really keep them in that game, to Jonathan's point, really set the stage for that second half for DMAC to pull away. But, hats off to them. I mean, Mount Pulaski did everything that they could with that zone, and it threw off DMAC for a little bit, but they figured it out and got rolling. But, man, that DMAC crowd was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously. seriously, they were great during the state semifinal game and then great for the championship game. And it was really cool because the boys team, after a heartbreaking loss to Tremont the night before, all showed up to be there for their classmates. And I think it just speaks volumes about that community. It speaks volumes about Central Illinois communities and what sports means to all of these area schools. And so for me, that's why it was so special. It was special because, you know, Jody Nightingale, their head coach, obviously she is a fourth grade teacher at DMAC, and you had all of her students there. So just a really feel-good story that, you know, you look back and go, man, this could like be turned into a movie, right?
Yeah.
In 2021, the shortened COVID season, they only win 2 games, and then 5 years later, they win it all. I mean, just a storybook ending.
Yeah, just amazing. You know, DMAC, you know, one of, you know, my favorite schools to just, again, go out and cover. And, you know, they have, you know, like you said, Thomas, a phenomenal fan base. And I was not surprised one bit to see him really show out at state. And I'm glad you brought up the Schmigels, too, because I remember, I think, late in the third or early in the fourth quarter of their state championship game, they both had some really big buckets, you know, and they're feeding well off each other. They, I think, assisted a few of each other's baskets. Anna Schmigel started the game 0 for 7 from the field and then hit one big three. That was just huge in the moment. That really, I think, it made it like a double-digit lead, or really just kind of gave them a good cushion. So it's you know, crazy again. There's multiple similarities between Washington and DMAC, and both of them are, you know, and one of them is that, you know, you had a pair of sisters on the team, which is you know, pretty cool and you know, pretty amazing. So you know, really happy for DMAC, and you know, both the Schmigels, they're gonna be back next year along with Riley Durbin. So what are they gonna do as an encore performance? Obviously, the bar's been set pretty high. No more Dahlia DeJesus, but you know, just you know, really looking forward to seeing what's next for DMAC after, again, 4 straight 30-win seasons. That is absolutely crazy. So just what an era for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, shout out DMAC. We could probably sit here and talk about some of these basketball teams.
Before we talk
whole
about
podcast.
Washington, I do want to say really quickly just how cool it was that Dahlia did talk about that she was not feeling well post-game, but the fact that she gutted it out and had the performance she did. Yes, she, you know, had a tough first half, but really got going in the second half to seal the deal. I mean, it's just one of those stories where you look back and go, the best player on the best team in 1A was not feeling her best and said, you know what, I'm going to still lay it out on the line for my team, you know, to bring a state championship back for my community. So really, really cool. Just a gutty performance by Dahlia and the entire Chiefs team, and congratulations to DMAC.
Hey, shout out, gotta love it. Well, as you kind of prefaced there a little bit, we got Washington, who did the exact same thing. They also won the state championship there in 3A instead of the 1A DMAC pulled off. And this was also another fun one to listen to. I mean, obviously, you know, when Central Illinois wins, you gotta love hearing it. So what a great game, and it was fun to.
I got a question for JM.
Yeah.
Jonathan, is this the most dominant run from a 3A champion that we've seen in recent memory? Because, you know, you look back at this Washington team and you look at the playoffs, they just about dominated every game that they played. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, in recent memory, absolutely. And, you know, I think we're enough in the conversation of it being one of the more dominant runs in Class 3A of all time. Now, you know, going into the game, some people were thinking, oh, Washington's going to completely blow Glenwood out of the water. I thought it was a possibility. Funny enough, this was, you know, the first matchup of the season for Washington was Glenwood. And the Titans in that game did not have their star 6'2" guard. So that was a huge, you know, kind of a difference maker in this one. And why was a little bit closer than that 42-point margin. But again, Washington was in front for pretty much almost the entire game. They, you know, they had a I think 12-point halftime lead. Had it shrunk all the way down to 5. It was 43-38. And then, you know, Avery Tibbs, who was having a good game at the time, decided that she wanted to have a great game and just go out, you know, leaving a legacy and, you know, just going out the only way that she knew how to. And that's by, you know, making some big shots, making some threes. She went on a personal 11-0 run, and that just completely put the game away. Washington led by 16 at that point, and then from there it was all over. So, I mean, it is just, I was talking with our Clutch Sports media people, it is hard to believe that we have seen the last high school game of Avery Tibbs, Becca McDougal, Mazzy O'Brien, Danny Gaudet, because we've just become so used to seeing them over the past 4 years, and they've all been staples since day one. And I mean, what a way to go out. I didn't expect anything less. You know, this team has worked so hard and everything, and that was just a great way to go out. And yeah, I mean, truly a dominant run. I really don't think we're going to see another team quite as good as this Washington squad, at least in the next probably 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the best players in the biggest moments on the biggest of stages. And what Avery Tibbs did down the stretch, 11 straight points. And again, I'm watching the broadcast, and as soon as she shot all of her threes, I'm like, it's in. I'm like, there's no doubt. I'm like,
And all of them are swishes.
Yeah, no doubters. I mean, she just lived up to the, hey, I am the all-time leading scorer in program history. And what does she do? As Kurt Pegler tweeted, cold-blooded. 11 straight to just put her stamp on her career and win her team their first ever state championship. Just a really cool moment for Avery. Kurt did a great job of covering this team leading up to it with, the connection that Avery Tibbs had to an NBA player, their friendship that
really
started
cool.
back at Tournament of Champions. So just we love when good things happen to people who work really hard, especially when it's our area athletes. And I think Avery Tibbs just kind of showcased that on the greatest of stages to have that kind of moment. And that's something that she's going to remember forever. So just, it was really, really cool to see her just say, hey, you know what? I'm putting the team on my back for a few minutes and we're going to win it all right here.
Definitely. And Becca McDougal played a great game, her final high school game. She this season has kind of taken on a role of, not being quite as much of a scorer. But she really helped them go early on, finish with 10 points, a couple of rebounds. Mazio, Brad, Danny G'day, got to tip my cap to them. They played pretty strong as well. Both of them didn't really have the whistles going their way, especially G'day. They both were getting called for kind of some ticky-tack fouls here and there, but they got to go out obviously as champions. Kay McDougal too played a really strong. Again, this was her first time playing at state, and she had nearly a double-double in the semifinals against St. Viator, and then had 7 points and 4 assists in the championship game to go with 2 boards. So again, she was not afraid at all of the big stage. And I also saw, Kurt has been doing a phenomenal fight into these kind of digging up these stories about how Kay McDougal promised her older sister Claire that she would get the job done, and they'd go on and win a state title. So that was just a really kind of cool connection there. And 35-2. What a season for Washington. I just don't have much more to say.
No, sorry. I was just looking, Jonathan, too, at the IHS website on that box score, too. One thing that's also cool is the McDougal sisters are combined for 9 assists.
Yeah.
They both led the team.
They're so
Becca had
unselfish.
5 and Kate had 4. So they're both just, that's one thing I noticed about both DMAC and Washington. There's a lot of passing. They're moving the ball around.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of trust in your teammates. It doesn't matter who I give this ball to, they can score. And, it's easy in sports to want to be the one that scores, but to have 9 assists between 2 sisters, that's very awesome and shows the unselfish nature of pretty much the team, but especially those 2. That's awesome. Love to see it.
That's a great point, Christopher. Yeah, that's really, again, another commonality between these 2 teams. So many parallels, obviously each of them different in their own way, but from the same county, you got the sisters, you got the unselfishness, you got the waiting for so long to make it and everything. You're both their first state titles. It's just, man, what a year for girls basketball in Central Illinois. It's going to be hard to replicate that, but I'm sure that it certainly can be done in the future.
Yeah, and before we move on to the boys, any last thoughts here about girls?
You just get chills, when you look back and think about what this season could have been. And even watching the broadcast on Saturday, the Washington community was ridiculous again. The amount of orange that was in CEFCU was just absurd. And so I think that when you look back on it, us guys that cover local sports, that's what it's about. It's about being in that arena and feeling the energy, feeling the weight of the world. And, I just want to give props again. I tweeted this on the SportsZone account, but Kurt and Patrick have just done an unbelievable job this year of going the extra mile to make sure that all of our area teams have gotten the coverage that they deserve. And that's something that we really take a lot of pride in here, and especially when we hop on this podcast every week to talk about these teams. And so it's cool when our area teams give us something like this to really lean into and talk about. And so it allows us to, yes, like we are supposed to be objective people, but when our area teams are in state, it's fun to see them win. It's fun to get to lean into that and, get to capture that moment for them and share that with our area. So just awesome stuff. It's what we live for.
Yeah, well, congrats. We cannot say enough congrats, and we love to see it. But kind of shifting over to the boys' side here, we got several teams, quite a bit. How many?
Yeah.
5 teams. 5 teams still left in the area. The first one we got here running up is Manual, who, just.
Rams looking to make it
yeah.
two state trips in 2 years, and boy, I tell you, after that regional semifinal scare they had against Tri-Valley, they looked pretty good, and they were again. Thomas, I believe you were at that game.
I was.
You can probably speak more to it, but
yes.
They kind of held off a late charge.
Yep.
And everything. So again, just a gritty win, and again they're taking on Johnsburg in their super sectional. Just based off of what I've gathered and from each team, again, I really think Manual has a great shot to return to Champaign.
Yeah, they came out, and obviously West Hancock, I believe, was technically the higher seed, correct?
It might have been. It might have been a matchup of 2 number 1 seeds.
Yeah, it was. Regardless, Manual came out, and I said this in the group chat. They just came out and blitzed them, right from the jump. As soon as their first made basket, it was, hey, we're going to press you, and Manual went up 12-2. And really never looked back. West Hancock cut the lead, I want to say to maybe 5 points at the end of the third quarter. Manual was trying to take the air to the basketball, slow things down. But the Rams they were up at front from the jump and never looked back. Reggie Pulseway had a nice game. Josh Humbles led the way for them with 19 points. And again, this is a Manual team. They're athletic. They run up and down the floor, and they are at their best when they're getting out in transition, getting easy baskets. So, yeah, this is definitely a Rams team who is ready to punch their ticket to state for a second straight year.
Yeah, and I don't get to watch a lot of I haven't seen Manual play. I've seen on some of these teams, but one thing I've noticed, especially in these clips right here, is they are moving. They steal the ball, and there's 3 people rushing down the court. I saw the first play of this of these highlights was a whip pass across, and dude lays it up. It's just, as you see here, they're just moving.
It was steal, turnover,
right
layup.
there.
Rinse, repeat. That's what they were doing.
While dribbling, doesn't stop, throws the ball to an open teammate. It's fun to watch. They're moving fast. They're playing aggressive. This is what we like to see in basketball.
It's why they've been a tough out the last couple of years in tournaments. So excited to see what the Rams can do in their super section on Monday night.
Yeah, you got anything to add about this Manual team before we move on here to Richwoods, Jonathan?
No, Thomas, said great. He saw them a little bit more recently than I did. I'm looking forward to seeing them again, and definitely rooting on for the Rams. But again, we got some other teams to talk about as well. So again, don't want to overlook Manual. Certainly cannot do that. But again, we got 4 other teams.
Yeah, we got a lot of teams, and unfortunately, we're on a strict timeline. We can't spend.
We have so much good to talk about because we have so many area teams either had just one state or we've got 5 boys teams playing in the super sectional Elite 8. So we got a lot to cover.
So next game, as I kind of teased at there a little bit, we got Richwoods as the Knights are continuing kind of this role they've been on here of late.
Yeah, how about Marion Smith-Holly and his clutch ability? Just Richwoods, I wasn't at that game, the sectional final. I was at their sectional semifinal, which was a whole other story. We'll get to that quickly in a second. But Richwoods was, I think, down by 9 or 11 going into the fourth quarter against Edwardsville. And then when I checked the score, a couple of minutes later, I saw they came back and won 59-58. And Smith-Holly, I think, hit the go-ahead free throws with 12 seconds left to win that game. So, he is just, talk about an ice-cold player. That is Smith-Holly for Richwoods. And that sectional semi against Rock Island, against Normal Community, I made the trip up to Rock Island to see. And what a crazy ending that was. Richards being down by 3 or down by 2, and then force at the final shot. It goes no good. They get the offensive board, kick back out to Smith Holly, and then he shoots it, and the referees call a foul, and then he gets iced. Football, they ice the kicker. Well, Dave Witzig from Norwood Community, again, fantastic, knowledgeable coach, did that after every single free throw. So he called a timeout after every free throw just to make Smith Holly think about it, and he's just pacing back and forth, pace, and just thinking about it. You have to make all 3 to win. 2, and you're going to overtime. 1, your season's over. And he made all 3, and they won it with no time left on the clock. Again, he shot these free throws with 0 time left, so it was all on him, literally. And what a phenomenal game, or even phenomenal 2 games for Richwoods, who's trying to make it to state for the 2nd time in 3 years.
Well, and here's the thing. In March, it doesn't matter how much you win by. It just matters that you survive in advance.
Yeah.
And the Richwoods Knights, the last 2 games, have literally been the definition of that by winning by 1 point. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out. This is actually the closest game geographically for us of the 5 super sectional games, so I'll get to see Richwoods at SEFQ Arena. So excited to see them. I've been really impressed with this Richwoods team all season long. Very similar to Manual. They like to get up and down the floor, and they've got the guys to do it. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Richwoods can keep their March magic going to get to a Final Four.
Nothing scarier in sports than a man who's locked in pacing. Let me tell you, if you see that, it's pretty raps right there. But you know, shout out to them. And
you got the kind of, Amarian Smith Holly is the kind of guy that if you were down 1 with the game on the line, you want him shooting the basketball, because he has just that much confidence and belief in himself. And so when you have somebody like that who is your leader on the floor, you can just tell that the rest of the team just feeds off of that. So excited to see Richwoods in action.
Yeah, and then kind of shifting here a little bit, or obviously moving in the same path. We're sticking with some boys basketball as we got Morton here as the next one we got coming up.
Patrick has been covering these guys exclusively, and boy, the Potters, we can't even tell you the last time they've lost a game, JM. What a run.
It's been a long time. And this is the game I was at on Friday night. After a long day at Girls State, we made the trip up to Ottawa through a near tornado. That was crazy, but man, it was well worth the trip, and an awesome game by Morton taking down Kankakee. Again, Kankakee was a team that was even nationally ranked in the top 25 nationally, but really they did not look like that in, I'd say, either game. Morton played a phenomenal game. You saw the big dunk there from Silas Steffen. That was just really the one that I think kind of sealed it for them. Again, they got great contributions from all around. Alex McKee, Colin Burns, Silas Steffen all played great games. But even a guy that came off the bench early in the first minutes, Tommy Krupa, had 7 points, I believe, in that game, and all of them were really big, to help Morton kind of, keep fight back, because they went down 9-0. After the first minute or two, they're down 9-0. I'm thinking, okay, this might be a long night. Well, Morton kept their composure, kept their cool. They relied on their depth. It was a hot gym in Ottawa in that sectional title game. Very warm, humid day. They had to wipe down the court a few times because of some sweat. And Kankakee, again, they were a little bit tired. I think they were a bit gassed. They really struggled shooting the ball. It was because they only went 5. Maybe they might have played a 6th guy for a few minutes, but they had their 5 starters out there the entire game. Morton had, I think, 9 or 10 guys out there, and all of them contributed. So that, I think, is the reason why Morton is, a dangerous state contender. And people, I think, will still continue to look at them like they're a good team. They, can make a deep run, but people still kind of doubt if they're going to be able to win a state title. But, I think they're going to keep on proving those people wrong, and they're playing against some amazing ball right now with, I believe, 23 straight wins. Last time they did lose, Thomas, to answer your question, was December 30th. So they have not lost in 2026 as of when we record this.
Yeah, that's crazy. My favorite play that I see here, that dunk on where he runs down the baseline and dunks it over and over. That is most athletic thing I have seen in a while. That is awesome.
People in Morton were saying we can dunk too, because Kankakee, obviously they're very athletic and they really threw down some big dunks. They had the top player in the state, at least according to the recruiting rankings with Lincoln Williams. He threw down some big slams, but Morton had some big ones too, including that one from Steffen. So looking forward to their game against Maple Park Caneland here on Monday night.
Yeah, Thomas, you got anything about Morton before we move forward? Or
no, obviously JM touched on it all. I think it'll be a tall task for the Potters, who are playing an undefeated team, and who knows, maybe the Potters will be the one to end the perfect season.
Could.
So
Could be.
They're as hot as any team in 3A basketball right now. So that should be an excellent game.
Well, for those of you who watch this podcast quite often, we do have one person who appears regularly who is very invested in this very next game we're going to talk to, as our own Alex Berger is a big Tremont Turk, graduated from the school himself. So unfortunately, he can't join us to talk about him, but we can just picture what he'd be saying because he's hyped. He's once they won, he was all over our text messages. So the Turks are kind of coming alive here.
Yeah, what an epic game. Just epic.
The start of their season may not have been exactly, but how they would have liked, but they've been coming alive when it matters, and it's fun. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, them winning on the buzzer against DMAC. I believe it was Andrew Dawson. I think they hit the game.
Yeah, Andrew Dawson.
Miller Reynolds, Andrew Dawson for
the game-winning play's coming right here. He's driving baseline, and Andrew Dawson is wide open. I mean, just beautiful.
I heard when there was a buzzer
vision.
beater, I thought that it might be all of a sudden hit his step back jump shot, hit a big jumper, but then I saw that's just a great play design. I mean, that's as high a percentage of a buzzer beater as you're going to get, and I mean, just how about the jubilation there from Tremont? I don't know who was there shooting that game, but way to follow the whole celebration.
That was
feels like I'm right there.
Yeah.
I think that's Harvey.
Our part-time sports fella, Harvey Newcomb.
Harvester.
Current Bradley student was at this game. He was pretty excited when he got that one. So it's always great, especially too when you get to capture a moment like that and against two area teams, and obviously a heartbreaking end for DMAC. But man, I think as just a general hoops guy, to see them call a timeout, draw up a play, and to just see it work out that way, because again, all the focus was on Reynolds on the baseline. And I mean, I'm sure that part of that play was just Dawson, hey, start at the top of the key, and when they collapse on Reynolds, I want you to cut to the hoop, and that's exactly what happened.
And what a job staying in bounds too. You're running along that baseline, you're looking for your teammate. It's easy to get yourself lost, but he was able to stay in bounds, dish it to a wide open, and then if you're taking that shot, those nerves are high. You're like, I gotta hit this. So kept it cool, calm, put it right in, made it look easy. Shout out to Tremont. That's fun. We love to see.
Really,
love to see it.
Really cool note I just want to add in here real quick is both Tremont, their volleyball team that made state back in the fall, and their boys basketball team now. Neither one of them in the regular season had outstanding records, but you see playing in the HOIC. And moving down to Class 1A is really paid some big dividends. Tremont has really learned how to, both those teams learned how to play well at the right time. And just again, really kind of cool to see those similarities between those the volleyball team and the boys basketball team, all kind of making some deep runs when maybe they weren't the first team that many expected to. So Turks looking to kind of continue that magic.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, there's a lot of good sports here, or a lot of good teams here in Central Illinois across all the schools. So kind of records don't really mean a whole lot because you're playing,
especially in the HOIC.
You're playing. You're a 1A school playing a 3A school. Or that may be an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. Playing some very good teams in other classes.
Yep.
So then you come in and you play against your class, and it's just it may not be easier, but you've seen your battle test and you've got that competition on you. So excited to see where all these teams go so far. Any last thoughts on Tremont before we hit up our last local
Let's wrap
team?
up with Leroy.
Leroy Jenkins. We got Leroy, who they're a drive away from us, but they're still in our area. So we got to give them some love, and as they look to continue what they're doing here as well.
Yeah, Leroy took down Decatur Unity Christian 62-58. Sam Edmondson, been a great player for them all season, scored 22. Bryson Umstead at 16 in that win. Decatur Unity was a pretty sneaky good team. I wonder if Leroy was going to suffer an upset loss, but they proved it wasn't the case. And I'm sure Leroy is probably going to hope that I am not going to be in the gym for any of their games, because the one time I saw Leroy in person this year was the HOIC tournament championship game, which is one of, I believe, only 2 losses they've suffered all season. So thankfully for the Panthers fans, I will be away from their game here on Super Sectionals as they take on Lawrenceville here on Monday night. But it's been really happy, really cool to see Leroy. I know a few people from Leroy as well that are again just all in for this Panthers team.
Yeah, man. That's one thing that's great, about sports all these small town schools, even not so much the small ones, but all these schools are piling behind their teams, and you just love to see it. You can't win without your fans. You know, when you got a CEFCU arena filled, or arena like that filled with your fans, and you can hear them, and you're just, every time you make a basket, you can hear the crowd erupt. There's nothing better than knowing there's people cheering you on, and that, like, you got to play good for the people there to see you, and for your school and your town. A lot of these schools, these are people you grew up with. You've played with them for a long time. Now, not every school is that way, but especially those DMACs, Washingtons, Tremonts, you've known these kids since you were 3 years old, or whatever. So it's just it's a lot of fun to watch because everyone is there to support and be there for their schools. So that's do we have anything else we want to touch on boys basketball here before we let Jonathan kind of get on his way, because there's a lot going on in the next couple of days?
We're hoping that Super Monday produces a great opportunity for our area teams to play in Champaign later this week for state. So best of luck to all the area teams playing. I don't know if you would have said preseason if we were going to have 5 boys teams make it to Super Sectional Monday, but hey, this has been just a really special year across the board, so we're excited.
Bingo.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. Well, we're not done yet. We're going to come back. We got some college basketball. Thomas I and Alex is going to join us. We're going to talk college basketball. We got some big NFL things happening, so we'll touch a little bit on that as well today. But Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us, and everyone at home, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we have some good news for everyone next week with all these teams. So we'll be back here in just a minute. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. I'm Christopher Huselig. Joining with me, as always, my co-host, Thomas Garvrick, as we're getting ready to talk
It's bracket week, baby,
of college basketball. Alex Berger is joining us when I can get his camera fixed here. We'll pull him up and we'll let him. Friend of the program.
There we go.
Alex Berger. There we go.
How's that?
Now he's regular size.
Now,
he looked like Ant-Man there for a second when Ant-Man, does his thing and grows to like.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's like 55 feet tall or whatever.
Believe it or not, he is a little bit taller than Jonathan Michael is. So anyway, guys, we got a lot of conference championships. Some of them have already been playing. The MVC's theirs is done, correct?
Northern Iowa, yep.
Northern Iowa.
What was that tweet that said Northern Illinois?
Yahoo Sports, tough day.
Lord, tough day.
But yeah, Northern Iowa, I believe that they are the first team in Missouri Valley Conference history to win 4 games in 4 days.
Yep.
To win Arch Madness. So, and Northern Iowa, again, I like watching these mid-major tournaments because I like to see, okay, hey, which one of these teams do I feel like can maybe make a run? And Northern Iowa is a team. They've got a coach with a lot of experience.
Yep.
They haven't been to the tournament in a decade, but they've got a good coach. They've got a good senior guard, and they've got the #1 rated defense in the country. So
I don't see a Loyola-esque run from them where they would go to the Final Four. But I mean, if we wake up and they're in the round of 32, it's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. However, who they're playing might be a Goliath situation.
yeah, I think it's tough though, because if we're being real in this NIL era, I think the days of seeing mid-majors sniff the Elite Eight or the Final Four, I would be shocked if it ever happens again. And that might be a hot take, but I just think with the resources that these schools have, I just think it's tough. And we kind of saw it last year play out. I think we only had maybe, I'm not sure, we had McNeese win, but outside of McNeese, I don't know if we had any other mid-majors win in the first round. So I think Northern Iowa is definitely going to be a team, though, that they've been bouncing around between that 12, 13 seed line.
Hey, so CBS has them playing my Kansas Jayhawks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't love that matchup for Northern Iowa, but also for Kansas, I'm going, I don't really love that either. So I don't know. Do I think Kansas would probably still win that game if they played? Yes, because they're more athletic. But again, you're playing the #1 defense in the country in terms of the analytics. Now, again, they've been playing in a mid-major conference all year. But again, Northern Iowa is a team that when the bracket comes out on Sunday, I'm definitely keeping an eye on to see who they get, because I think they will give a 4 seed or a 5 seed a really good game in the
It's
first round.
looking like Duke may play Queens University. And if they play Queens University, then and they lose, that would quite possibly be, he was just saying if you could take my news car.
Oh,
It
yeah.
would be
Yeah,
quite
that's
possibly.
Patrick. It's always a thing at our station about who gets to drive what car, because we have a couple really nice cars.
Yeah.
And so Patrick
They're
looked at
all
me.
really nice.
They
you
are.
guys just want
they
the
are.
really,
we
really
want the
nice
really
one.
new ones that have the nice smell.
But,
so
here's-
that's funny.
The potential, if my Duke Blue Devils are upset by Queens, holy, that's rough. But that's going to be one that's going to be one of the worst blowouts on the whole tournament.
And obviously, once it comes later in the week, we'll have better outlook on
course.
who's where, because there's still a lot of games to be played, and this
Oh,
can
yeah.
move. As far as we know,
Bottom and major.
Florida loses the SEC, and UConn wins. What are they in again? Why
The Big
can't I-
East.
The Big East. I can't.
Yeah, UConn's in the Big East.
If UConn wins, they may take that last 1 seed. We'll see.
Yeah.
I could see either one happening. But I don't know. I was thinking about what you were saying, Thomas. I don't completely agree with that mid-major. It may put a damper on it a little bit, but this is basketball, and at the end of the day, anything really could still happen.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm intrigued to see, does NIL affect March Madness? Last year,
we saw it to a degree last year.
Well, last year's not the first year we've seen the teams that are there's not as many upsets. Now, there may have been a little less last year than we normally see, but I don't know. I'm interested. I think it'll be very interesting because maybe some of these smaller schools somehow get a donor that they can pull out some money to pay some people.
Right.
It'll be very interesting to see as NIL. I'm not convinced, though. I think March Madness is the madness whether people are being paid or not. I think you're going to get those upsets. Now, will we see a 16 beat a 1 again? I highly doubt that, because these
Yeah.
1 seeds are thrown. But
Well, again, who was the 1 seed? It was Purdue.
yeah,
And Virginia.
Well, Kentucky, as that we saw, they're putting a bunch of money in players, and they really haven't had that great of a season. They could lose. Right now, they're projected to face Iowa. That would be a very reasonable game for them to lose. But one thing that I'm very interested in, we were talking about this before we got in, and I want to talk about them just a little bit. That Illinois team, I kind of like where they're sitting with Alabama being the 3 seed. In my opinion, the only better option to pull would have been Purdue if you want an easy 3 seed. So that's
and
that's
they will-
promising for me and my Kansas Jayhawks.
And they
'cause if
will not
can,
pair
if they can find a way through
Big
Virginia,
Ten teams like that.
dude.
This is, it's also, we mentioned things that are kind of outdated. This might be one of the years that we see, because it's kind of that lucky number 4 for some reason. I mean, UConn winning the tournament when they drew the 4 seed. The 4 seeds this year are kind of rough. We got Gonzaga, Virginia, Vandy, and Texas Tech. Again, that's the projected. But gone are the days of the UConn 4 seed where it's
also the one thing I
know.
will say to your point or to what you were saying, Thomas, is I'm not even impressed with these 3 seeds.
I was just gonna say.
Nebraska,
Well,
Iowa
yeah.
State, Alabama, and Purdue. So it's just.
UConn, when they went on, they got red hot at the end. They won the Big East tournament. They were destroying people. They were,
Yeah.
and even people said that, I remember during the committee, all the guys were like, how is UConn seated 4th? They felt like UConn could have been on the 3 line, maybe the 2 line. To your guys' point, I just feel like, again, I've been saying this for probably the past month, but this reminds me a lot of last year, where the top 4 teams were clearly above the rest.
Were they the
And
same ones as it is right now?
No.
So Duke and Florida were 1 seeds
Yeah.
last year. The other ones were Auburn, who's having a tough
Okay.
year, and
Yep.
then the other one is Houston.
right. Yep.
Houston's a 2 seed.
My bad.
Now Duke had a key injury. Caleb Foster, one of their guards, got hurt during North Carolina, and then one of
Yeah.
their big men is not expected to play in the ACC tournament. They're going to need those 2 guys back, I think, for them to win it all. They can still win the ACC tournament without them,
Right.
But they need them. But yeah, to me, it's like when the bracket comes out on Sunday,
I'm so
going to be
looking
really
forward
honest
to
for
it.
you guys. I mean, I'm excited for it. It's the best day of the year. I absolutely love it. It's so cool. But to me, Duke, Arizona, Florida, and Michigan have separated themselves from the rest. Just from the eye test of what I've seen
Yeah.
in the last month.
And I completely we've talked about it. The only variation I see is possibly UConn, depending what happens. And if Florida wins the SEC, no matter what UConn does, it's probably Florida's spot.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to lay out my arguments for why I would choose UConn, but I don't get a choice. So
these are well-constructed teams too. Like, I'm really happy with like what we're getting out of these 1 seeds. We're not getting a 1 seed. Remember when like Purdue was a 1 seed and they just were completely Swiss cheese? These are 4 super well-constructed basketball teams, front and back court, for Duke, Michigan, Florida, and Arizona. These are all 4 teams that if they won the championship, we wouldn't be surprised.
So we have just a couple of minutes here before we need to take another break and get talking about some football. But one question I have, Thomas, we asked this question a couple weeks ago when we were first starting the March Madness. Who is your kind of underdog, make a possible run team that you're looking at going into this right now?
Yeah. It's tough because, again, like when I pick the bracket, I'm probably taking, and I know it's easy to just pick the top 4 teams, but I feel that strongly about it. If I had to pick, a few teams that are a little bit not underseeded, but a little bit lower, I still really like Arkansas. I know Arkansas got smoked by Florida. That was an ugly loss, but I was really impressed with what Arkansas did over the weekend. They beat Missouri without their best player in Darius Acuff, and I still feel like Arkansas is a 5 seed. Like right now, they would be in Arizona's region. I feel like that Arkansas could beat Gonzaga, play Arizona in the Sweet 16, and Arkansas in a winner-take-all game, they score with the best of the country. And so I think Arkansas is a team I still feel like could give somebody a scare. Yeah. I really like the Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC.
I was thinking them too.
They're 7th. Now, they did lose to Louisville at home this past weekend in a tough game, but Miami, again, they're ranked. I haven't checked the latest AP poll, so I don't know if they're still ranked, but I think Miami is a team. As a 7 seed against UConn, I definitely think one day's rest if they played each other in the round of 32, I think Miami is a team that could maybe shock a UConn team who just lost a head scratcher to a really bad Marquette team this year. So those are like my 2 teams that I'm keeping close tabs on. I still really like Virginia as a 4 seed, but Virginia is not a shock to anybody right now. They've had a good year.
My 2 easy ones that I think are kind of the popular, going to be even popular once the brackets come out, is going to be Miami of Ohio and also High Point. Those are my 2 like lesser known teams I think are going to be really good.
So you're looking at the mid majors.
Yeah, and also I think Ohio State is actually kind of underlooked, undervalued.
No way. You did not just say that.
You're fluffing Thomas's feathers.
Ohio State. I knew that was gonna. I really did pick 2 teams out of Ohio.
That's funny.
I do like Ohio State. I mean, they have one of the best players in program history on their
Bruce
team
Thornton.
right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to. Here's one
funny.
team I'm really looking at UCF. UCF has done some really good things against
They have a really good point
programs, and now they haven't really played. They remind me of they're a team that plays at their competition level.
Oh yeah.
They played really well against Kansas. They played really well against a lot of these really good Big 12 teams. I think I like that matchup. If they get Georgia like is projected, I like that matchup for UCF. Also, looking at, obviously, this is all based off. My choices will change depending on how the bracket actually plays out.
Sure,
that's fine.
Based off of this projection, St. John's going up with going against the 4 seed Texas Tech. If they beat Hofstra, I really like St. John's in that matchup with Rick Pitino. Texas Tech is without Toppin. So I think UCF and St. John's, which unfortunately puts them both in the same bracket on this projection here, on the same in the East bracket. So that would suck because, well, one of them would have to lose eventually. But those are kind of my 2 that I'm looking at.
I got one more high major team that I've been impressed with is UCLA. UCLA, they've had some really good wins at home.
Yeah.
They've beaten Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska at home this year.
They're really like UCF, just kind of big wins against some good programs and then kind of some rougher losses as well. So,
and UCLA has a really good backcourt in Perry and Donovan Dent. And so I think, again, if UCLA, let's see how they do in the Big Ten tournament. I think UCLA, right now, they're a 9 seed. Definitely not a team I want to see in the round of 32 as a 1 seed. So UCLA has underachieved a little bit this year, but I think they're a team that could bust a bracket.
Yeah, and then my high ranked team that I've already said this I think is going to do. I think Illinois, if it plays out how this has with them and Alabama, I really like that. Alabama is probably the best team. Obviously, they're the 3 seed, so they'd be the best team they face in that. And I'm not super high on Alabama. They play good teams, so they're a great basketball team, but. That's
They did play.
Almost
Illinois and
lost to
Alabama did
Maryland.
play earlier this year, and Alabama did beat Illinois. Now, again, early in the season, teams change over the year.
And it was in Alabama, I'm pretty sure.
Sure, and Alabama very good home court advantage. So I like Nate Oates. Like, it's hard for me to pick against him. I like Brad Underwood, but this is definitely going to be a big test for Brad Underwood's group this year is can they get to where they want to be? And obviously, there's still a lot of people. I mean, I was watching the Summit Championship last night, North Dakota State, and then after the game, John Rossi was still saying Illinois is still a Final Four team. I have more reservations just because of how they've played as of late. Again, to Alex's point, I would love to have seen them, just blow the door off of Maryland. And to Maryland's credit, they hung in at home, and Illinois still walked away with a win. This is a big week for Illinois. I need to see something from them during the Big Ten tournament. And Illinois didn't really get any favors. They're going to be the 4 seed, and they're probably going to play Wisconsin in the quarterfinals. Tough game. Lost to them last time they played.
Yeah.
And then if they win that game, they're probably going to play Michigan in the semifinal. So hopefully if Illinois can make a run, I mean, if they win the Big Ten
power to
tournament, if they beat Wisconsin, Michigan, and maybe Michigan stay in the championship, then I'm like, okay, you know what? I will buy back on Illinois.
My eyebrows would be raised.
Agreed. So I need to see something from the Fighting Illini this week.
No kidding.
Yeah, guys. Well, we do have some NFL stuff we want to get back to talk about today because it's been a busy day with the
Lot of
league
movement.
with the calendar league year starting on Wednesday. So
Yep.
all these trades aren't official,
Sure.
but they're going to happen. They've agreed. The teams have agreed. So when we get back, we're going to discuss kind of what's happening around the NFL. We'll be back. Welcome back to this week's episode of the CI Sports Zone. I'm Christopher Uslick. Joining with me, my co-host Thomas Garverick and friend of the program, Alex Berger. That's an inside joke. Alex loves to call people friend of the program for our other podcast, What's on Your Table.
Yep.
Go check it out. We have a new episode that came out today, Monday as well. So anyway, we've had a great episode so far. Talked some high school hoops, boys and girls, had some state champs. It was great. We're hoping for some more.
Yep.
And we got a little bit of college basketball. We talked about our thoughts on the upcoming season, and we got about 7 minutes here. We're going to talk.
All right.
There's been a lot going on in the NFL free agency.
Yeah.
And
I want to quickly brief of what has to happen. I just saw my quick piece. So, Thomas, you can get to your piece here in just a moment. We're seeing a lot of movement, as you're going to hear here in a second. The main thing that needs to happen is, yes, the Bears are making moves. I'm obviously a Panther fan, and we just got Jalen Phillips. A little pricey, but the Bears, they got to keep moving. There's so many defensive starters that are on the market that could sign to other teams that they need to get on very quickly.
Sure.
Couple good quarterbacks still in the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look at some of the offensive moves from a fantasy perspective for next year. I think Kenneth Walker, obviously going to the Chiefs, is a great fantasy landing spot for him because Walker will no longer have to share a workload with Zach Charbonnet.
Go ahead and
now,
call
obviously,
Pacheco. Is he doing okay?
right. I'm sure Isaiah Pacheco goes, well, I just lost my starting role. Now, granted, Pacheco just hasn't been the same player for that team. So I love that landing spot for Ken Walker. Obviously, when Mahomes comes back, I think that'll be really fun. I love the Mike Evans landing spot to the Niners. They really needed a receiver. It's going to be really weird not seeing him in a Buccaneers uniform. But obviously, George Kittle tore his Achilles late in the season, so he'll probably miss some time. So I think Mike Evans to the Niners with Kyle Shanahan and CMC and Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. I think that's a really good fit for Mike Evans. And then if you are a Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass catcher, Emeka Egbuka, McMillan, Chris Godwin, you're getting a spike in target production with Mike Evans leaving. And then you have Travis Etienne going to the Saints on a sizable deal. That's a plus for him. He's going to be the starter there. So if you own Basil Tootin in dynasty formats, he was the rookie running back, Mr. Tootin. His last name is literally
I have
T-U-T-E.
never heard this gentleman's name in my life.
He's good. People were proclaiming him as like the next Bucky Irving. He went to Virginia Tech. Very good.
How many years of NFL have I missed to where we've got the next Bucky Irving? Dang it!
Yeah. So if Jacksonville doesn't draft a running
Wasn't
back,
Bucky Irving the next Leonard Fournette? What happened?
yeah.
Where
But-
are we?
Right, exactly. I think the big shock of the day for me, though, was Alec Pierce getting a massive contract
Yeah.
from the Colts. 4 years, $114 million. To put that in context, Amon-Ra St. Brown, his current contract is 4 years, $120 million. So are you telling me that Alec Pierce is $6 million less valuable than Amon-Ra St. Brown? I don't think so. I think that was a gross overpay by the Colts.
Yes and no. I think also it depends on the market. I think I to your point though, I think if he were to go to a system like the 49ers or something like that,
There were
would.
reportedly some teams who were willing to offer Alec Pierce more money. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think he's a good receiver.
Right.
I think he's a starting NFL receiver.
Right, but he would
you're
not
paying
get
him
more-
receiver one money, and I don't see Alec Pierce as a receiver one.
He is kind of more of a Jawan Jennings kind of workload of a guy, whereas he's more like a wide receiver 2 in some markets. But for the Colts, I mean, they've always had guys like, like T.Y. Hilton and people that are just, hey, run down the field, we're going to lob this to you and catch it.
And then Wan'Dale Robinson gets $78 million to go to the Titans.
Yeah.
After one good year with the Giants. Also,
interesting.
an overpay.
Just
I know
shows you
Chris
this
first.
league.
He's hot, man. He's excited.
Yeah.
He is thrilled with the Kenneth Walker.
Hey, just
signing.
remember when Trey Hendrickson is speaking Kansas City barbecue next season, that
Yeah, if the Chiefs get him, that would be awesome too.
oh man, it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, as you said, Kenneth Walker, I kind of wonder where that leaves the Chiefs in the draft now. I don't know. I'm curious. Did they pick him up in case they couldn't get Jeremiah Love? Did they pick him up because they don't want to get Jeremiah Love? I'm just curious.
It's a high
how
IQ
that-
move
how
by
that-
them either way.
How that plays out, or do they want them both?
I
know.
don't. I
don't
think
know.
That'd be
by
interesting.
them signing Kenneth Walker, I think that signals to me at least that they think that Jeremiah Love won't be there at 9.
That-
see the
that's my
upside of
thought.
Walker.
Or you could have both. Like,
But what's crazy is Arizona re-signed James Conner, and then they stole Tyler Algier from Atlanta. And Arizona was a popular landing spot for Jeremiah Love, but now you can kind of take the Cardinals out of the mix. And the Saints were also rumored to like Jeremiah Love, but they signed ETN, so now you take them out of the mix. So now really Jeremiah Love's
If-
two landing spots are the Tennessee Titans or the New York Giants.
hey, maybe Kenneth Walker's stock won't boost up if the Chiefs get Jeremiah Love.
That would be bad.
Another free agent that I'm looking at on the market that I am really interested to see where he goes and how much he gets paid. Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is still available. And if I don't see why he doesn't re-sign with the Packers. He's a good person.
Well,
in
I
the
think
system,
he's going to be
but,
gone.
Yeah,
I just don't think the Packers are going to be able to afford him.
Where does he go, and how much does he make? Because I mean, you've got other wide receivers like we were
Kansas
just
City
mentioning.
barbecue, baby.
No,
That is
stay
Christopher's
away
sell.
from him. No.
It's not, hey, come play with the best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes. It's like, hey, come to Kansas City for the barbecue.
Like I
Also-
said, here you
also-
can just have Debo Samuel.
Also, Travis Kelce, they said he's coming back. Hey, let's go.
oh boy,
I respect it. I respect it. He doesn't want to go out like he did last year. I think obviously the Chiefs will be back in the playoffs, and Malik Willis. Malik Willis is following his defensive coordinator to the Dolphins.
Congratulations, Malik.
You know the person
what a comeback for
I'm
him.
most interested in is Elijah Vera Tucker.
You think so?
Offensive guard, been solid for the Jets.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good.
Solid for the Jets is a crazy.
Well,
I know what you mean though.
The Jets
Yeah,
have
anytime. That's like
individual
saying the
good
Browns do
players.
something good.
Hey, Mark Sanchez was good for
So-
the.
Hey, the Browns, we've picked up some linemen.
I
We're in
really,
good-
I
good
really
place.
want to see Vera Tucker on a good team. Like, I want to see what he can do. Because, I mean,
Don't
that
say it.
that
You have a
Elijah Vera
guard.
Tucker, you know how you're large? You want to get even bigger?
What do you think about the sauce of barbecue?
Have you ever been to Kansas City, buddy? Because
That's your front office pitch. Is you're like, what are your thoughts on brisket? Then ignore the contract.
If it's not your thing, don't come here. That's right. Oh
right.
man,
But yeah,
I mean, there's just a lot going on, and we're not even like there's still a lot of free agents.
So many.
That I mean, Leo Chenal for the Chiefs. You got Nakobe Dean.
Yep.
You got Jawan Jennings, Jalen Thompson.
Watch out
Braxton
for where
Jones.
Nashawn Wright goes. Nashawn Wright is one of my prime candidates. I want him to stay with the Bears, but if he leaves, watch the Bears jump on Tariq Woolen like it's nothing. Watch them just immediately shift.
Well, guys, we've been having a lot of fun, and I hate to do this. I do because we could probably,
All
like
day.
everything, we could talk all
We
day.
could. We could
I'm on
all day.
We're on a strict schedule here, man.
We are.
We got time crunches, but thank you guys so much for joining us on the WMD Plus app. We will be back next week where maybe we can break out a little bit more stuff that's happened. We'll have more March Madness. We'll have hopefully some good high school hoops.
We'll have our bracket
Start of
picks
the
next
league.
week.
We'll have our bracket picks. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining.